GM, we are back with the Dollar Trade Show, the best vibes in prediction markets, guys. And then today we have two special guests. We have JW from Nexus Data Labs, and we have Dash. How are you, Dash? How are you, JW? Welcome to the show. It's great to have you guys here today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, amazing, guys. So as you guys know, we have an incredible amount of content, and we have two special guests here to talk a little bit about what they're doing in this space and to help us go over everything that's going on in prediction markets, which is a lot, especially with the Super Bowl last weekend. Are you ready to start, Nick? Great to have you here again, bro.
We are good.
Oh, okay. So let me share my screen. Let's make sure that we are all on the same page. So if you're listening to us and if you still do not subscribe to the Dollar Trade newsletter, I invite you to go to dollartrade.xyz and subscribe to the newsletter. I post two weekly editions, and every Saturday we have this week in prediction markets, which is a recap and having a hook for the show. A lot of times I use charts from Dash. Dash, great to have you here. Make sure to follow the data dashboards on Twitter if you don't do that again. Bro, first, congrats for your work. I just saw you've been mentioned here on the CoinMarketCap official account, and your Doom dashboard is one of the top rated dashboards in the whole Doom website, and it's became a reference for prediction markets. Tell us a little bit, bro. How did you start to? I mean, how did you get into prediction markets, and how did you get into data, especially on prediction markets, man?
Sure. So I've been doing data for quite a while, like 3 or 4 years, and never had much of a online presence. I decided one day I wanted to change that. I started by building these really I would say in-depth dashboards on like new releases from different protocols and projects. And then it wasn't doing too well. So I started just like simplifying it, and I was like, okay, let's see who wants to engage with me. And I pulled Kalshi's data off of their API, and I funneled it into June because I was too lazy to build a front end. And then, I made a single tweet about it, and the Kalshi team, John Wang and Tarek, really picked it up, and it ended up getting, I don't know, like 1.5 million impressions overnight. And then I was like, okay, I should double down a bit on this. It seemed like a bad place to be. They were super supportive. So, I just started building out some data, and just sort of stumbled into it all.
Okay. I'm glad that you mentioned John Wang, because I love you, John Wang. Hope to have you in the show soon. And I try to mention him in every show, just for the sake of.
I don't think we tried to mention him. He just does appear in the show all the time.
It appears. I know.
This is a mention market. You could guarantee, like, John Wang is a Bond,
In Dash, could you guide us through a little bit of your work? Because I'm just assuming that you must be really busy lately with the increase of new prediction markets, and I see that you've been adding a lot of them to your dashboard here. So are the teams getting to you to add this, or is it? I mean, you just kickstart whatever you're seeing. How are you trying to follow this space to keep these dashboards updated, man?
Well, I can't say I've been doing too much of that. It's mainly been external parties reaching out to me. Like, I, of course, try to talk about and push my own work. And, I try to add as many as possible, but it's like largely at some point it becomes technical debt. I'm thinking of refactoring the dashboard and changing like quite a lot of things. Since the beginning, it's been actually like completely unpaid work that I've done in my free time outside of a full-time job and also a part-time job. So it's really quite hard for me to maintain it and keep adding. And so I'm trying to like explore ways to monetize it so I can spend more time there.
So let's use it. So I would say two things here. Welcome to crypto, which is a lot of working a lot and not getting paid for the great work we put on, which has been part of my experience with crypto in the last few years. And let's invite. I mean, if you have a project related to prediction markets, if you want to add your project here, or if you want to support builders, reach out to Dash, and yeah, let's get this guy paid to do this great work, because it's been amazing and it's became a reference for what we've been seeing here. Okay.
I send it to everybody. I send those dashboards to everybody. When they're like,
Yeah.
I don't understand the stats, I just go look at this. Then I don't explain myself any further.
Love to hear that.
And so let me ask, and this is a question for both JW and Dash. What's the biggest challenge for you guys when it comes to the data front regarding prediction markets? Because I don't know if you guys recall, several weeks ago, there was this discussion about the volume being counted, being double counted between Polymarket and Kalshi. So what do you guys think is the biggest challenge nowadays to track the correctly data for what's going on prediction markets?
JW, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I think it's always, we have to trust the data, right? It's a model, and when we write these Dune or Dune code or SQL codes, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? If you have incorrect data, that's gonna spit out the incorrect output. So I think that's probably the challenge. I feel like a lot of times, I have to make sure all these data are correct after I write it, like double check. And sometimes, sometimes like a number looks fishy, so I have to go double, triple check before I actually publish it. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much like, data validation. I think that is probably the challenge. Make sure that all the data and nothing looks funky whenever the final outputs is. And I'm sure Dash probably sees it a lot more on the prediction market end.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with that. I would say for the most part, the biggest issue I encounter is actually having teams talk to me and, highlight how to actually track them correctly. Some of it's pretty standard and obvious, but I've been doing like a lot of work with crypto cards, and it's super like opaque and they don't want to share anything. And so it can be very hard to get traction doing that. And I would say in regards to the double counting, it was mainly a problem if you were counting both sides of notional volume for Polymarket, because Kalshi were only posting the taker side. I was never posting both sides for notional, so I didn't have that problem with my notional chart, but I did have that problem with my regular volume chart. But here's sort of the other thing is, how do you define some of these terms? The idea of volume is not a very well-defined term. Like, I guess naturally, if I think a maker puts up $200 and a taker puts up $50, like intuitively, I count that as $250. And so that's what I was doing in my regular volume chart. And Storm was making the claim it should be $125. Now, that's sort of it's a bit of a thing that messes with your head, and also relaying that to everybody else. And I think I have not corrected it on my dashboard just yet, but I definitely see his argument, because it's like, if you think of a swap, swapping $50 of ETH for $50 of USDC from someone else, you wouldn't count that as a $100 trade, you'd count it as 50. And so in prediction markets, with every trade, you have a direct counterparty. So it is fair, actually, what he's claiming, but it's just, even if I change that, then having to explain that to every single other person and every team that I deal with, and they're just like, that doesn't make sense. Like 200 plus 50 is 250. Like, that's a beast on its own. So that's why I haven't corrected it on the dashboard. I mean, the notional is already correct, and that's, for me, the most important thing was, if I'm going to measure something wrong, I'm at least measuring everybody wrong at the same time. And so you could say that's the problem I have. Yeah. Exactly. Rather than I'm misrepresenting, Kalshi against Polymarket or something like that. So yeah.
Okay, no, makes sense. It's a matter of setting the standard, and I mean you are coherent with the standard you're setting. Yeah, I think on the data front, and I've been discussing this about real world assets, for example. I mean sometimes there's a lack of clarity of how the metrics are put together. But if you disclaim how the metrics are put together and that anyone can understand, I mean it makes sense. Um, and talking about the metrics for you guys, what are, because I mean the volume has been, I mean, catching everybody's attention. We see higher volume, and then it's a big number, and we have this passion for big numbers. But what do you guys think is if you had to choose only one metric to evaluate prediction markets, what is the best metric to use, in your opinion?
That is a tough question. I mean, there's never a one true metric, right? I mean, I think that's just crypto in general. I mean, even data in general. I think there's never a one true metric, in my opinion. I feel like you have to always look at multiple metrics. I mean, volume could be also faked, as well as any other like users or whatnot. Those all could be faked, right? I mean, I think. To be honest, it's really hard to say there's like one metric you have to look at to growth of the market. I mean, I think there's a lot of argument on crypto also, like is TVL the right metric, right? I mean, everyone believed in TVL, and I mean, look at where it got us, right? I mean, after airdrop or whatnot, and all these capital just leaves the ecosystem. So I think same thing with the prediction market. I mean, you can look at the volume, but also, there's a high possibility that there are a lot of people, a lot of bots are doing, airdrop hunting, right? I mean, there's a potential. I think there's a lot of buzz around Polymarket, the Polymarket airdrop, and I assume Cash will probably do something similar, since seems like they're always doing the same thing around the same time for whatever reason. And I think that's why you can't really look at that as like one metric. But I mean, I guess you could see more of an organic, like what do you call it, like a wallet, like a user, I guess, perhaps. I mean, that's especially on the Polymarket, you have to create a proxy wallet for every single in order to trade. So perhaps maybe that could be the metric, but also that could be faked as well. So I mean, in my opinion, I don't think there is any one specific metric that that is like the metric for the protocol growth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess you would need to coordinate a couple of metrics, and if they all appear strong, then you can trust that it's looking good. Kind of like some of the prediction markets that have popped out recently, who have like unbelievable volumes but very small transactions. And you're like, well, is it good to have volume and lots of little transactions, or is that just a bot versus like what Polymarket have or Kalshi have? It's trying to find a couple of metrics, and if those metrics look healthy together, you can build an index and say this is healthy versus this one isn't looking as healthy.
Yeah, and then just one more thing to add: you can't, obviously you have to look at the more qualitative side as well. I think I don't know, you guys use some other prediction markets. I mean, UI is not still there. I mean, I think a lot of times it's still clunky, and I think perhaps a lot of these trades are probably done on the back end with with the code, rather than actually going to their website. Because I think some of them I'm trying to figure out. It's very slow, and I was like, did my trade go through? I'm not really sure. So I think that's another thing. You can't just look at the metrics and say, oh, they're thriving, but what if when like I think my test is always like, can my mom go do this?
Yeah,
a lot of times I think that comes down to the user experience. I mean, I think we're used to using this complex the hardware wallets or whatnot, but I think at the end of the day, user adoption will come down to, like, can someone who has no technical background, can they go to this website and use it? And I think some of them, I think that's they're not really there yet. I'm sure they will get there.
Well, crypto in general is not really there yet. Crypto has to get there pretty soon.
Yeah.
How about you, Tash? Do you have a kind of a favorite metric that you think measures better the industry or the sector? I mean,
I definitely agree with a lot of JW's points. I would say, like, we are in dire need of an effective like wash filter, but wash trading can obviously be very complicated, and it can be very hard to eliminate it all. It's something I would be interested in looking into if I could spend more time on the space. I would say personally, if I had to choose a singular metric, it would be open interest. I mean, maybe you could argue total platform value. That's TPV, and that's I define that as the open interest plus the USDC inside of proxy wallets that is waiting to enter a market. And the reason I say that is because there's plenty of things you can do with that money to earn yield. You could earn 4% just by holding treasury bills. You could obviously do things with DeFi. And so for me, if you're choosing to put your money into the prediction market space over just farming 4%, it shows you are actually interested in participating and predicting on things. And so I use that. I think that is the best barometer of interest, of true interest, because otherwise the money would flow elsewhere. But, as JW said, that doesn't mean around hype events, it's not going to fall off. We saw with the 2024 presidential election, just how much of that disappears. So I don't think it's necessarily indicative of, that open interest remaining for a long time, but I do think it reflects quite accurately how interested people are in this right now.
I tend to agree with you about open interest, and you gave me a great hook, and I'm going to use it. Let me share my screen here, because it comes to what JW posted a few weeks ago. So JW posted this article about Polymarket's winning prediction markets, capital efficiency is next. And basically you touched these points about the amount of money that's just parked there. It could be on wallets or actually on markets. Could you tell us a little bit about your thesis here, JW, please?
Yeah, so I think actually Dash has the same chart in his. I didn't know because I just built it myself because I was kind of curious. Okay, how much is USDC sitting there, right? I mean, Polymarket started on Polygon, I guess Polygon, and then if you look at the metrics, there are two metrics that Polymarket holds as in USDC, right? Which is first open interest and user proxy wallet, since they have to create this specific wallet in order to trade in Polymarket. And if you look at those numbers, I think this might be slightly outdated, but I think it's actually higher last time I checked. So if you look at open interest I think as of November, so I wrote this during Dev Connect, right? So it was November, it was about 240, and then the proxy wallet held about 155. So a total of about 400 million. That was as of November. So while you guys are chatting, maybe I'll check the numbers. I'll refresh it and see what the numbers are right now. I can tell you that in a bit. But at the same time, I thought, I think part of the reason, we're all here is partially is also DeFi as well. And then DeFi is part of being DeFi is also being capital efficient. And if you think about $400 million plus, let's say they make, even 2%, that could be about 8 million annual revenue. And so when I wrote this, I was thinking maybe, okay, they should maybe launch their own stablecoin and capture all this yield. They could maybe partner with M0 or, just allow Polymarket to accrue that yield from the collateral, like for a treasury. Or they could, this was right after Hyperliquid, USDC competition. So they could invite also providers such as Athena or like Sky to basically bid on exclusive partnership, being exclusive stablecoin provider. And I think we saw a lot of different types of incentives they were willing to provide to the protocol itself. So I thought that was an interesting idea. And yeah, I mean I think a lot of times I think two articles I wrote were about the capital efficiency. I think one was not to deviate too far, it was a Pump.fund. There are vaults that never took off and how much the money is captured there. And then that kind of led to, okay, how much money is trapped inside of Polymarket. But at the same time, I think there's a I think there is a partnership with Circle, I believe.
They just announced it. I was trying to search for the post here, but yeah, they just announced that this partnership. It's not clear. They never make clear.
Yeah.
What in the end is the partnership, but yeah.
I think there's a chance that they look at how much capital they hold and okay, like, do we go somewhere else, or Circle might be like, okay, you guys already have it, we'll just give you a certain amount of percentage back to you guys. I mean, that might be the agreement, right? I mean, for Circle, for Polymarket, it's good because they don't have to do any of the transitioning, like changing the code or anything that's that might create any types of headache. So maybe there's some sort of a kickback in some sense to Polymarket potentially.
Yeah. I have. I mean, I'm not trying to foresee the future, but I think in the near future we are going to see a Polymarket chain in their own stablecoin. I think they have this regulation, the competition, distribution. They have fighting a lot of fights in multiple fronts. But I think the end game would be to have, especially with the ecosystem that they are building right now, to incentivize people to build on their own chain, just like Hyperliquid is doing, to have their own stablecoin. They can run the business, and they have another entity to run these, let's say, this infrastructure for them. And they can invite builders to build on top of that, which what Cauchy and Polymarket both are kind of doing right now.
I mean, I think it could maybe even take it a level up, and they would. I keep thinking that they'll probably be on ICE's chain, right? They'll be on the chain that ICE builds, and it would make a lot of sense for ICE to build its own stable coin, because then we're seeing globally we're seeing a shift that might end up with a lot of private issuers of stable coins beating out even the central banks, right? Because I think we've seen in China last week, I think it was, where they banned anybody doing a stable peg to the yuan, and governments are. And in the UK, I'm only allowed to hold so much USDC, because they're scared about these stable coins just eating the rest of the world. And they're so well collateralized, right? So yeah, I think I don't know if Polymarket, do we need another stable coin? Is the question. Like, we've got a Tether, we've got USDC, do we need another one? And does Polymarket really have enough use cases? I certainly would have enough use cases. If you're trading on-chain stocks, them keeping all the money in their own chain by a token that they issued on their own would make sense, that Polymarket leans into, so they can have a fully collateralized dollar peg. Could make sense. Be the case. I just think that the play with ICE is much broader than we realize, because it is ICE stepping into the crypto world, and I see Polymarket in that view, as opposed to like making anything new. They're more partnering with the old school and bringing them up to speed.
And I have a lot of hooks in this show today. I'm happy. Please, guys, keeping on.
And Dash, jump in whenever you like. Just turn the mic off and just shout over the top of us. It's totally okay. There are no rules.
All right.
There's no scripted. Yeah. So and what Nick just said, it touched with something that I saw here from Dash. I would like to ask him. So he says that monetizing users from feeds, you don't think that's the play for Polymarket, because they care more about powering the whole world via novel informational flows. And I think this is a strong statement, and I agree, and I think it communicates with what Nick was saying. I mean, there's a bigger play behind what we are seeing. It's not about the fees, right? So would you like to elaborate a little bit on this one?
Sure. I would just say, I think this was around the time they turned fees on for the 15-minute crypto markets, and people were talking about how much money they're now making. And I don't think it's very important for them at all, especially considering, their funding and what they're trying to do. I think you want to strive to have the most accurate information, because there are plenty of places you can sell that, for tons and tons of money. And it's just, I think that works much better as a business model. If you introduce fees, someone can always race you to zero. And I think Polymarket would just rather have this really broad, strong network effect. Everyone's betting there. Everyone's, they've got the best liquidity, and so they've got the best ability to price things. And, that can inform tons and tons of decisions from very, very big companies, and I just think that's a far better business model than trying to make. I mean, crypto users are very fickle, right? Like if we're paying even 1% fee, we start complaining. You really saw that during NFTs with how many platforms they were swapping between. Like I think people were using X2Y2 to do direct sales just to skip out paying the creator royalties and the marketplace fees and whatnot. So I think they don't want to open themselves up to that chance when they've got a better business model they can monetize through.
Definitely. No, definitely. Yeah, sometimes people don't realize the amount of information they are gathering might worth way more than the fees. And I think the fees with the 15 minutes market is just a way to try and avoid a lot of bot activity.
Yeah. And I think like it would just follow the same data model as Facebook and Google and all that, where the user is a product because they provide data that they can resell later on down the road. Yeah. Or Robinhood, no fees, sell the data to Citadel, hedge funds. That would be the business model.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that has been the new meta. Basically instead of charging them fees, they're gonna just sell the data, and then people are. I think both sides could be happy. I mean, although I feel like you're paying the price at some point with the data if you're trading.
Oh yeah, we do. I don't want to go down that road, but yeah. When you're the product, we're fucked basically.
Yeah. So guys, moving forward to the news part of what we have here. This just highlights the amount of money we saw, the amount of money the volume we saw on Cauchy. It was clearly because of the Super Bowl, and then we moved to everything that went on with the Super Bowl markets. So I have this post here. It's a surprise that almost no one animated the most aggressive and largest scale insider trading prediction markets ever. Both Lady Gaga and Rick Martin performed at the halftime show. Insiders made many hundreds of thousands of dollars to maybe even as much to $3 million. And it brings, so JW, if you said that it was a hard question to what I said about the metrics, it comes to the insider trading that we see. I have this question for you guys. What's your position on insider trading on prediction markets? Because we've been seeing there's a lot of accusations about insider trading activity here. We have other posts to cover this here. What do you guys think? I mean, if we are really talking about a truth machine to gather the best information possible, is this what we want? Do we want insider tradings on markets, or do they break the markets? What do you guys think about it?
I mean, okay, to what extent you think it's like a legal problem is one thing, but I just think from my perspective, as I said just a moment ago, talking about like the maximal accuracy, like if that's the case, you would want insider traders. So I don't really think it's worth chasing. I mean, I think it's worth chasing them if you can get them, but like Cauchy has a very strong stance against them. But I question, Zach XPT used to talk about just how easy it is to buy a doxed, like a Binance account.
Yes, I know your customer accounts. Yeah. You can buy
KYC,
them. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to say. And it's just, I question how hard it is to actually do that on Cauchy. And so I don't think that's like too much of a blocker. I don't know about the off-ramp process or something like that. I don't know how effective they are at cracking down on it. I know they're taking like a strong stance on that side. But I would just say from my perspective, I think like the value in all of this is like the most accurate forecasts. And so that involves insiders. But like, again, there's like all this legal stuff that I don't really know how to navigate or have a strong opinion about.
Yeah, I mean, if we just look at parallels in the traditional betting industry, particularly in the UK and I think across the world, top players are banned essentially from sports books because they clear the house out, but they still participate via from what I've heard anyway, like giving a percentage of their winnings to other people to run the trades through their accounts. So how do you even deal with that? Like how do you enforce that problem? If it's random normal people who have done KYC who aren't doing big trades that flag in your system but are winning quite frequently, yeah, it'd be really hard to stop that sort of insider trading.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a balance, right? I mean, in the trade, like I used to work at TradFi, and then I mean, even working at crypto previously, I think a lot of companies have these restrictions, right? Insider trading policies, and I think especially in traditional finance, that is a big no-no. I mean, you've seen people going to jail because of this, and then I think there are two parts, right? Needs to be a balance where I think prediction market has kind of like marketed themselves as somewhere like informational finance. So like I think people who has like they want to bet on something where they have certain information. I think that's that's how you get the news before everyone else. I think that's one of the reasons. I think people I think a lot of media's attention is there, but at the same time I think there should be some sort of restriction where people making these absurd amount of money. I mean, I think another one was Maduro and the Super Bowl and everything, right? So I think has to be some sort of balance where we want the information, but also at the same time we can restrict. But I mean, that's also always an ideal world, right? I mean, that's probably not going to work. It's probably one way or the other, but hopefully there's some sort of a new way to figure out how to do that. I mean, that would be ideal.
It's Polymarket's stance that they're okay with insider trading, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he said that. Shane Copeland said that openly on 60 Minutes. They were just like, well, it's how we source good information. But then you get like this, the Maduro one, like, and the
so like ChatGPT one, bro.
What's the end result? Like, the end result is always going to be the same, right? Like if it's just somebody has the information before somebody else. So we had the Maduro one where he was going to get lifted by the Americans, and he did, and that was an insider trader, and he got caught. But then we had the Nobel Peace Prize one, which was just somebody doing a lot of due diligence in a way that other people weren't, and was just smarter and won. And like in the end, the event happened in that way. They didn't shape the event. I guess that's what it comes down to. Did the person who wins shape the event, or did they just know before everybody else? I think it should be illegal if they shape the event and they benefit directly from the event, or people in their organization benefit deliberately from the event just because they had that information. But if they were just cleverer than other people, or they just got the information a little bit earlier than everybody else, then it's truth. Because as long as they don't shape the outcome, I don't know. But then, I mean, there's loads of ways you can go there. So like, as you're changing the market, you are shaping the outcome. Some, like, particularly understand that.
There was a post from Andrew yesterday, and he was talking exactly about what you said. And for him, he said about a bad market design, when someone can shape the result. And the example was Brian Armstrong earning calls on Coinbase. It's in someone's hands how the market will unfold. It's not an insider there. It's just a bad design.
Yeah, and then like in other mention markets, or Elon tweets, like, how do we know that Elon's kids aren't ready? And they're saying, Dad, can you tweet one more time? Like, there's no way to know, right? So like, at what point did we stop just fucking threatening over these things and just be like, okay, let's move on? Like, I don't know. I don't think we can solve it very easily. I think it'll take a long time to figure out how do we build regulation around it.
That's it. So wanted to highlight a few topics here from Super Bowl. Guys, I mean, just love you all in the US. You have a beautiful country. I love you people, but no one else cares for Super Bowl, guys. I know it's really cool for you, but I mean, I don't even know if Bad Bunny played on the halftime. I don't know, but someone was paying almost $500,000 on this. So wow, it's a big thing.
Is that actually correct, or just an ad?
For just an ad? I did
not check that.
It's a good question. This is a good question. And I have some even higher number here. Someone posted $800,000 on who would win the game. I don't know. That previous one was not from the official account, but this is from the official Kalshi account. So I assume this was a true bet or prediction.
Yeah, I think that's going to be legitimate.
I think this is legitimate. Yeah, I don't even know if this guy won this money because I don't know who won the game. But
Seattle won, so he would have won actually. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And this caught my attention because there was so much money in those markets that even $22 million bet would not move the odds here because there was so much liquidity on these markets. Which is insane. Yeah, it's insane. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead, please. Go ahead.
No, I was kind of wondering, like, like American always Super Bowl, there's like huge bets going on, and I kind of wonder, Kalshi and Polymarket, they're doing a lot of advertisement. I mean, I don't know, you guys been to New York? When you guys are in New York, Kalshi ads are everywhere. I'm not even kidding, they're like everywhere on the subway. So I'm kind of curious what percentage of those like liquidity moved from like a traditional sports bet website to Kalshi or Polymarket. I mean, I don't know. We can't really back that data up. I'm just, if we can figure that out, that'll be pretty interesting.
I guess there will be data around that. You'll be able to, I'm sure there will be data around that somewhere. But yeah, it's interesting. It's like, at what point do the prediction markets start eating their market share to the point where they start to get pissed off? I don't think it's fully happened yet. If you speak to people from like sportsbook or the traditional betting industry, they've seen stuff like this before. I think this is slightly different and a bit more dangerous to them, and they don't realize it. But like, they've seen stuff like this with betting exchanges, where it's peer-to-peer bets, and they were like, "Yeah, when they came out, everybody told us it was going to crush us and we would be gone in a couple of years." But in fact, they just died, really, and they didn't really manage to make it, and we kept surviving. So yeah, I'm interested to see at what point they all get a bit worried by these guys, or do they just keep doing their own thing, right?
I think they are a bit worried. Like, I've had a few calls, not with the sports books directly, but with like a lot of analysts trying to figure out to what extent it's eating into their their market share and how it's going to impact them long term. So I definitely think they are a little worried right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's one in the UK who's launching one in the US right now. They're a really big sports book. They're basically, what they're doing, right? Because I know this from talking to prominent people in big companies across Europe. They are just building prediction markets, but they're not building them on crypto rails because they don't even understand crypto. They just don't understand it at all. Like, the eyes glaze over. It is that sort of conversation. So they're just building a sports book that looks like a prediction market, where I presume that they are still pretty much the counterparty in the house. So they set all the odds. So it just doesn't. It's going to be interesting because we're obviously in our little prediction market bubble and think we're going to change the world, but we're still waiting for Bitcoin to change the world. That's been quite a long time. So how long do we need to wait for prediction markets to change essentially the betting industry? Because there is a lot of individuals in the betting industry who make billions and billions every year just by being able to set the odds on matches, not doing anything else. They're just picking it up because they set the odds. So I'm interested to see where it goes.
I got my hook here. It's my hook.
There you go.
It's
him. He's so aggressive.
Yes, it's him. I know. So Victor, he's editor of conference chair of Indian Gaming Association. This is his role. So he's in favor of the traditional betting industry, and he was just saying this is a big fuck you to the Nevada Gaming Commission. Prediction markets being shared mainstream on the most expensive billboard in Nevada. And then it brought me to this article here. Tribal gaming exclusivity faces existential threats as prediction markets expand. So just as Dash and Nick mentioned, there is this threat that the traditional gambling industry is afraid of how prediction markets are evolving. And for this case, for the tribal gaming, they have exclusivity of exploring gaming in these areas of the US. And I mean, they are going to fight this fight, and we are seeing this in Nevada, especially with the lawsuits against Kalshi, Polymarket, Crypto.com, the new prediction market. So, just wanted to touch this to highlight what you
I
guys are
also
saying.
like, just from a regulatory point of view, I like how Coinbase has just got in the game as well. So basically, all these regulators need to fight multiple huge companies at the same time. This is going to be cash intensive to fuck. Like, Coinbase knows how to fight difficult regulators, and now they're fighting difficult regulators state by state alongside Kalshi. It's like there's only so much the Gaming Association will be able to absorb in legal fees before they break.
And this is from Mike Selig. It was from last week, CFTC chairman. He was just stating, strong disagree from this quote post here. I believe prediction markets are violating the law. In 40 states, we are regulated betting that can market to teenager, plays, states taxes, protects, and basically he's stating that he strongly disagree that prediction markets are violating the law. We saw this before, that CFTC is in favor of prediction market, which is a good starting step for some regulation clarity, but we are not quite there yet. As we've been highlighting, a lot of fights are being fought. And this post last week on Insider Trading by Tariq Mansour, CEO of Kalshi, one of the co-founders, and I think he was kind of worried about what could happen with the Super Bowl. And yeah, I recall I posted here the article I wrote about this, and it sparked some discussion. But people were debating with me. They were more worried about if people are afraid of insider trading, they were not gonna see liquidity on those markets. But I don't think that's the main point.
But
I mean,
yeah, it depends on
insider trading.
Maybe smart people won't or participate in those markets, but other people might, and that's how you end up washing out the market. Look what happened to crypto at the beginning of the year with meme coins, right? Like the meme coin stuff ended with Trump launching a token and rugging everybody, and then retail was dead. If that happens too much on prediction markets, you're going to lose all the user base. And it's happened before in other. You can see parallel things like this happening in other financial spaces over the years. So all you need to do, frankly, is look back a couple of decades, and you'll see the same sort of shit going on in other spaces in the financial world, and just compare it to like, okay, so what did they do that killed everybody and killed the momentum? Like, I think that was part of the problem with betting exchanges. The counterparties were much smarter than the people that they were betting against. And then those people just left because they were losing all the time.
Yeah, it's a good point. Go ahead.
Just going to interject and say, I mean, the thing with it is those sports markets are virtually impossible to insider trade because you have to have someone on the team themselves who's going to throw the match, right? And then you've got a bigger problem, I would say. So I think, there are certain markets where you don't really have to worry about it. And I would say most sports markets are probably that versus, political ones. There's a lot more danger in that regard. And, most of Kalshi's volume is sports, right? I mean, right now, I think same for Polymarket, but Polymarket definitely dominates a lot more in the political side of things. Maybe that's a result of that a little bit. I still think they just generally have a more interest across a lot of things based on the flow they get. But I just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think historically, like before it was regulated, sports betting was really illegal and matches were thrown all the time. There was an incident in the UK, I think just after the betting industries all went live, I think late 80s and 90s, where a team, I can't remember who it was, I think it was one of the Premiership teams, it was basically who gets the first throw in, and immediately as they got the ball, they just kicked the ball out and they all had bets placed at the bookies. So like they can throw certain aspects of the game technically, but throwing the whole game is quite hard. But then I think there's ways it can be done, but I think it has been beaten out of sports, particularly like in the UK, I think. there's so much money and there's not so much the motivation to throw it, because if you're involved in it, you're making the money. If you look at horse racing, if you have insider information on if the horse is well or not, then you're trading on that, right? And only certain people will have that information.
Yeah, so there was this conversation. I'm just trying to find the post here from this. Okay, let me share this. This was Index Pod, and they even mentioned you, Dash. It seems that you were going to be on the podcast in a few weeks. So, and then she makes a great point here. We covered her content last week about how sports markets and news markets, they evolve differently. And I think something that's really curious about sports markets is that the amount of sports events that we have all over the year, it makes the best testing venue for anything related. So trading strategies, or the amount of potential insider trading that we can have, because they are happening all the time. We have multiple markets every day. So they have a really short time span. So we get more data from them than from other markets, like elections, for example, markets that stay there open for several months, maybe years. So I just wanted to highlight this in the podcast. Okay, where were we? Oh, finally, Polymarket token. They actually filed for a Polymarket trademark for a token. We have these news since November that Polymarket will launch a token. And then this is from Car. I spent more time reviewing the recent Poly trademark fillings and some other Polymarket trademarks. Over the last week, several applications were submitted covering names like Polymarket and a well-known slogan, the world's greatest prediction market. And the fillings reference cryptocurrency services involve the issuance of a digital or virtual token for use within an online community. Then Camel already started to make some valuations for a token here. He believes it's could be potentially the third biggest airdrop. And the pre-IPO shares are already available on Whales Market. So if you go to Whales Market here on Solana, people are already speculating on the value of a token. I just want to see this as a market on Polymarket. That will be interesting.
Are they allowed to do that? Would that encourage
probably
insider trading?
I'm calling this the bottle of the market, by the way. You can ask me.
They've got,
let's see.
Polymarket, don't they have markets based on how much similar web traffic they get? I mean, that's going to be pretty good if you just set the target high. Maybe some nice users will bot it a bit for you, and then it looks like you've got more traffic than you do.
That could be that would be interesting, yeah.
Also, I'll be interested to know are they going to drop it to proxy wallet? Does that mean is this going to be affect the? Is it Poly token, like a Matic? Which one is it now? I forgot. What is that called? They rebranded.
It's POL.
It's POL. Yeah.
It's POL token, right? I mean, would that have? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's that'll be interesting to see if there's any effect on POL token, because maybe they'll use that as a gas.
Dude, that's used as a gas. But I recall talking to some Polygon people, just debating here on Twitter, and they said that like Polymarket is like less than 5% of the total volume, and the amount of fees, I don't think that actually. True? Dude, I don't know.
That's something another probably a project for me to see if I can isolate all the Polymarket versus the entire volume. Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting to see actually. Yeah.
I would love to see someone try and do that, because I think it has more with the narrative that Polygon is trying to push right now, that Polygon is used for payments. So they are trying. Everybody's pushing that. So I don't know.
Nobody's using any of them. It's speculation. That's it. That's all crypto's being used for right now. Don't tell me anything else. I'm not that stupid. I'm the cynic in the room, and I feel like they just filed the patent just to get people to farm it to increase their volume. But I'm a cynic, And also, like, if they the thing is, they could be just doing it to protect themselves, because if somebody releases that token, then other people might ape into it thinking it's actually Polymarket, and then they can sue the guys or whatever like that. But Yeah, I'm cynic. I'm a cynic because remember last year they were like, "Oh, Poly coming this year," like as in 2025. It wasn't happening. They like to tease us.
Yeah, because their CMO confirmed, like, was it last year? Their CMO confirmed it on Twitter. Be like, oh, we're going to have a token. So, like, I think people
Right.
were
Mhm.
speculating then, and then
Yeah,
now,
a podcast, right? And they said, "Yeah, we'll do one, but just when the time's right for us." But like, given that they have so much funding, the time could be like 10 years away. Like they can wait.
Yeah.
They can wait till is better than what it is. Because right now crypto sucks. It's like it's not in a good space. And I don't mean like volume wise. I just mean like behavior and how people are using it in apps and stuff.
Mhm.
And they might wait until everything matures a little bit. That would make them the most money. It would make the airdrop more valuable.
Just wait for after the World Cup.
I mean, you could have multiple tiers for the airdrop, though, right? Like,
Yes,
Hyperliquid
that's
is
true.
probably going to
That's
have
true.
a second round, and it's like if you print a bunch of millionaires out of nowhere, you know that could result in it getting even more activity. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure either way. I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I think people like crypto users are starting to get a little sick of point systems. You know, that was all the hype
Yeah.
for like the last 2 years. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
That's
I think
true.
well, what's the actual usage, right? I mean, is this the equity? I think we've seen that with Alia or other like tokens, right? Where it's like, is this actual equity of the protocol, or is it what's the usage? They always some protocols saying, oh, you can stake it and get yield. I'm like, yeah, but that's just the inflation of its own token, right? So, well, it'll be interesting to see how that works in the prediction market because I feel like there hasn't been any use case. Perhaps there's something maybe like a fee reduction or I mean some sort of benefits, right?
Yeah,
Perhaps.
kind of like what
Yeah,
BNB did early on,
they
and it's just pay less fees if you hold the token, or you pay the fees and tokens, and you get them like half price.
Yeah.
I have the most crazy idea. I think Polymarket should just open capital to an IPO, and then they create this own chain. They get rid of any dependency of external infrastructure. The Poly token or whatever will be the tool for this ecosystem, and okay, it will be the tool for this ecosystem. People would use that to pay for services, just like, for example, they use Chainlink to build on top of Chainlink to use Chainlink services. So to pay for the fee, and ideally all the fees would be sponsored by the projects. You pay that with a Poly token or something related to that. And if you are a Poly token holder, you could maybe get, as you guys said, maybe rebates or some part of participation on the revenue. Go ahead, Esther. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to loop back as well and say, I wonder if whenever you tease Poly token, that the user behavior for certain groups of users is changing. You know, they're getting worried, like, oh, wait, I don't have much longer to farm this. And maybe you can use that as actually like signal to try and help you identify in what ways people are wash trading. So then you can exclude more of those when you're going to do the actual airdrop. So as well, it might be something like that. There might be, levels to what they're doing.
And by the way, let me thank JW for sending me this. If you guys are listening to us, make sure to check Polymarket address tracker for potential airdrop eligibility. It's a dashboard created by JW. Cool.
Nice.
Oh,
I created.
I forgot about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, this. I created this a while ago, actually, for myself, but I was playing around with the activity, and then just looking at volume, active days, month. I mean, I pretty much took a lot of these. I mean, every airdrop is different, and I feel like that it's always constantly evolving how they fill out the metrics. But I just wanted to check like a high level metrics. I think right now what you're seeing is, I think that's my address, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it was mostly betting on Formula One anyway. But a lot of inefficiency, by the way, not financial advice. Just letting you know.
Good comment. So I just type my address here, and I can check the status of this wallet, right?
Yeah, you just have to hit. You have to run it.
Okay.
Just high level volumes. I think you can obviously get more metrics, and I'm happy to incorporate any other metrics you guys want to see as well.
It will be nice to, I don't know, just an idea here, just brought ideas. Maybe a comparison tool, or maybe a kind of a leaderboard of ranking, like top 50 wallets based on these metrics, and then you could check yours and compare yours with like the top 50, top 100, something like this.
Yeah, like a volume rank or something like that. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So you have an idea of where you would be if these were the criteria for an airdrop. That could be nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So guys, I think we don't have a lot of time. I still have a shit ton of content here. I will just
So
point
much
some
content.
stuff
I'm
out
just going through it right now, and I'm like, my God, there's so much.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy, and I didn't put everything that I thought it was interesting. So, jump trading set to gain small stakes in Caution Polymarket in exchange for providing liquidity on prediction market platforms. I don't know. Every time that I read jump trading, I just remember the movie Jump Street. If you want to step some time away from prediction markets, watch. It's a nice movie. Prediction market Cauchy seeks US approval to offer margin trades. So expanding their activities. Let's see how it goes. Oh, this was a great post. It's just too long and we don't have time to go over this. But it's Zoomer. He's criticizing the resolution of this market here. It's based on if Anthropic would make an ad or not on the Super Bowl. And it comes to a problem that we've been discussing here over and over, which is the resolution and about the oracles. And I saved the post. I will save this for the next show because I have a post from Danny that touches this as well. Also, if you are betting on Jesus Christ's return before 2027, you are performing better than Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's crazy. I don't know. I'm not a religious person, but it's an interesting market, let's say. And I remember there was a relation between what's going to happen before GTA 6, right? And I remember the return of Jesus is one of the best performing on that market as well. Shout outs to guys from Polyshot. Polyshot is live as well. It's a prediction market focusing on soccer. And also an aggregator called Chance has launched on the beta version. Shout outs to Aaron and Andrew. The new episode of their show is out, so make sure to check. Last episode that we had here on the Dollar Trade was with Aaron. It was a great interview with him. Also a great interview with Duma, which is the best, one of the top traders on Polymarket. I'm going fast through all these here, guys, but okay, thanks, J-Dub. I'm gonna check that. I'm going fast through this, but all the links you are going to find tomorrow on our newsletter. This is an article. I remember you guys mentioned this here. It's an article from Bloomberg talking about how professional traders are trying to adapt their trading strategies. It was focused on Super Bowl. Now that they have to compete, let's say, with prediction market traders. So it's already making waves on traditional bettors. This is a nice, I'm going to send a message to these guys here. They just put an Animoca Brands. They put out a report around prediction markets, which is pretty interesting, especially because Animoca Brands has been known for investing heavily on the Web3 gaming ecosystem for years now. Now they have these report on prediction markets. So I'm just assuming that they are expanding or they are pivoting for this sector as well. This is from Mimikon Prediction Markets. Julian, resolution is the product in prediction markets, which communicates with this post from Doomer about how to solve these resolution problems. How do we believe that we are going to get more people using prediction markets if they cannot trust the outcome? Zero to automated copy trading on Polymarket. I've been seeing a lot of this content because Moltbot is there. If you don't have a Moltbot in front of you right now, reading your articles, reading your emails, replying to everything, take care of your child, I don't know what you're doing because everybody has a Moltbot these days. I don't, by the way. Kyle the writer, he has come to the show before. He just broke down this article, and it's crazy because this article got over 500,000 views about the math behind prediction markets. So Kyle break it down a little bit to make it clear, to make it easier to understand. Okay, Moltbot, it's here. How to use Moltbot, GitHub, Polymarket, and Get Rich. So of course, there's a great hook here. And I just want to highlight these amounts of articles talking about prediction markets and bots, because now we have this. We launched a bot and it's failed. And it tells the story how someone tried to create a bot to trade on Polymarket and it didn't work. I always like to see these stories about when people lose money, when they build bots that fail, not because I like to see people failing, but it brings us back to the truth. No, it's not everybody is going to become the best trader. You are not going to create a bot that is going to automate all the aspects of your life, and on top of that, make you rich. And
you also learn more from people's failure stories than you do from their success stories, because it's very difficult to mimic success, but it's much easier to avoid failure by hearing other people's stories.
That's true. That's true. And I've been learning my whole life, man. this
I've been failing my whole life.
I've been failing and learning my whole life. That's the way. I don't know other way, guys. When prediction markets enter the newsroom, the information prediction, the informal prediction market reporters have always conducted through phone calls. Now exists as infrastructure. It's a nice reading. I'm adding to the newsletter as well. And nothing ever happens. JW sent me this link in here.
I think that's my favorite market. It's literally
if
you go down,
that's great.
It is probably my favorite one, where like if you go to scroll down the description
to the rules, right?
What are the rules?
So if nothing happens, you win, or I guess you can bet on one of these things happen. I just think it's kind of like a parlay a little bit, but it is. But I just thought it was kind of funny. It's one of my favorite markets right now.
This is the explanation of the market. Okay, this is good. This is better than the traditional rules that I see on these markets here. Yeah, and I saw this. It seems that we have data to back this, but I saw someone posting that 80% of the markets resolve as no, at least on Polymarket, which is quite interesting.
I think that's just because of the neg risk markets. Only at one outcome can resolve to like yes for who's going to win the presidential election. So you have more no's inherently as a result of that. So
that's true.
It's not actually
makes sense. Makes total sense.
Don't bet no on everything, right?
Have you done a post on this yet? Why haven't you done a post on this yet? How am I meant to if you don't post like that?
I have not. I just wanted to throw in as well about parlays. I noticed Pandora launched. That's by Danielle, the guy who did Wonderland Time.
They assessed
Kalshi had another all-time high on their their combos. I think they did 216 million on the. Actually, that might be completely wrong. Let me check. On their. It was 164 million on the Super Bowl weekend. That was contributing to that 800 and something we saw on the Artemis chart.
So that's great to bring that, dude. If I was you, I would do that post on why most of market resolve as no. That's clarifying. Yeah. That's clarifying. See, I didn't think about that. It's a great point. Guys, before you go, let me just invite everyone to follow JW, to follow Dash, and I just want to open the microphone to you guys. So how people can find your work, where people can follow you and get in touch with you guys.
Go ahead, Dash. Do the honors.
Just the Twitter data dashboards. You'll find everything about me there, and you can contact me in a number of ways. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great. Here it's data dashboards, and JW. I think I have here JW Cyril, right?
Yeah, that's me. So that and then Dune Dashboard mostly. So I'm active on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. Guys, JW and Dash, it was a huge pleasure to have both of you here, guys. Congrats on your work. what you guys been doing. It's amazing. I've been always mentioning and using your work as reference for the show here. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
Great.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. We'll be back on Thursday, guys, same time.